started in pharmaceuticals. I worked with DOD as a head logician over pharmacy contracts for about 6 years. And then I transitioned to Prince George's County Public Schools. I wanted a career change and I wanted to spend more time with my family so I could really see my vision and my passion flourish and elevate to the next level. I didn't know what that would look like. I just know that I wanted to extend my family and I wanted to have more time. And I'm going to just support because, this is I started really putting business into perspective. I started supporting people who have an amazing product. I started supporting strangers. I started building with strangers, not just because I just want to build with strangers, but because I opened my mind, I changed my mindset. It's not about just who you know. It's about who you need to get to know. And it's not about the people who's already made it. It's about the people. It's about creating successors. And if you can't create a successor, then I feel like you need to just move on. Because that's think of family. You think of community. You think of they're trying to build generational wealth, but not just only for us. Our end game is to teach everybody how to do this. Because if we're on this, we're not going to win. Every time I go to sleep or I think about even my friends or my family, I teach myself. I'll drop this gem before I forget. We don't teach each other that envy, jealousy, hate, all of these things are natural emotions. What we need to teach each other is how to pray against it. Ooh. Right? And so when I think about me wanting to climb and wanting to grow, I have to pray against myself to make sure that I'm not comparing myself. So that keeps me humble. I ask God to keep me level. My time will be my time. And that's just that. I had the time to really visualize what I wanted to do. And I was still. And because I was still, and I made that transition. And I like to think of it all the time. I like to share how I took a $21,000 pay cut. And although I don't share it much, I think of it as I gained something more when I lost that $21,000. First, who Taylor is. I actually gave a breakdown of who Taylor is. On Sunday, it was my great-grandmother's birthday. Her name is Taylor. And so I gave the breakdown of why we started Taylor Infuse, why we named our son Taylor Infuse, all of that. And so I'm just really excited to be here and share why we started Taylor Infuse.
What made you start Taylor Infusion? Like, how was that transition? You know what I'm saying? How was that transition as an African and Black woman looking at to trying to rebuild your family legacy? Like you said, you named this after your child, but then you said, hey, I'm setting up the legacy. How was that transition? Was it hard? Was it difficult? Tell me a little bit about just that transition and that process.
Well, you know what? The idea actually came, we're 10-month employees, some of us for the school system. And I actually was pregnant with Taylor. And then I said, oh my goodness, in between time, what are we going to do? And it's not that my husband isn't a provider. It's just that as a wife, I wanted to support more, just for small things. And I wanted to have a place or a business that could fund entertainment or just more so entertainment, and we could add some to save. And sorry if you hear noise. My preteen is trying to cook dinner for us so I can have this live, right? Okay, so that was the transition phase. That's when I really started thinking about it, when I realized that we're adding a child to our family, and we really need to think about finances, saving, and just really building that generational wealth. We have to support each other. We have to make our dollars shake, and we have to recycle our dollars. I mean, that's really important to me. And so with that being said, when people come back and look at this live, try to support as many Black businesses as possible. $20 or less.
Anybody, it's hard all the time. It's not no easy work. And people be thinking, let me start this, but they don't understand the process. They don't understand that trusting this process is tough.
Right. So that's great that you asked me that, because my immediate family, everyone owns a business. My grandmother and my grandfather, they own a landscaping business. I mean, they're doing really, really well. They serve the DMV. My aunt, she's a prominent. I mean, she's an amazing accountant for Black in government. She founded a business. She serves there insurance needs and their accounting needs, just their living, well, what I would say is insurance bank needs, which we don't understand as African Americans. So I'm going to drop that gem right there. An insurance bank, affordable benefits solutions. And she's Dr. Rita Belly Rowland. And so that was one of my mentors. Well, not that. She is one of my mentors. Everybody in my family owns. My dad, I remember he started a janitorial service. And one of his biggest contracts, I think I was about 9, was with one of her firms. And I would get up in the middle of the night and I would go with them. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to learn the value of not just money, but just business and the value of working with your family. And that's when I said, wow, this is a great thing. When you can get up in the middle of the night and work overnight with your family, you still go to work. It's just like we have to empower our community to do that, because what we see is that other communities are doing it. It's not that they're trying to take their children away from school or anything else that's important, but when you really look at their reasoning and their value system, it's about longevity. Support your community while being business owners, because you have to recycle the dollar. That's really, really important to me. Like I try to support all small Black businesses, give positive feedback, and I learned that from my family. You know, they never undercut small Black businesses. What they did was they gave their pros and cons, and then they continued to get their services. Versus, oh, I don't like your business, I'm not coming back. And, valuable input, and then they returned. So just from seeing that growing up, that's what made me want to be a business owner.
So to finish it up, and I do this at this time because I know sometimes people get comfortable around 7. So everybody's like, we don't switch the time up, but I was like, they can watch this when they get time to reopen. Right. You know, it makes just more sense. So, but to go back with that question, I thought we always talked about, like, it's a shame. We want it realistic. We don't want nobody come being fake to us. We want genuine person. I mean, I'm speaking realistic. So I love that when I talked to you about it, just was like, yo, this is what we doing. Don't sell out on my product. This is what we going to do. This is what I'm doing because of my family generation. And I think we need to realize that as Black owners and Black CEOs that we have to support each other. Even if I don't like that other person, but we're not going to badmouth them. Like you just said, that's real talk. Like how is that can be sometimes, just facing those different adversities that come in. And when you first started Taylor Infusion, then get deep into what you do. I like it. Talk to me.
Right. Okay, so I did want to share this because it's been on my mind. When I first got into the business, even when I started trying to integrate some of my services into the community, what I will say is, for those who were listening or, rewind this live, I want them to really consider, like you brought up being an African-American woman. We give each other the hardest time. Let me tell you, my counterparts are not the ones who give me the hardest time. It's those who look like me that gives me the hardest time.
Say that again. Hold on, say that again. Make sure they heard that one.
It's those who look like me that may give me the hardest time. And when I say that, it's because we don't understand our history, our personal history, our cultural history, all of the things that really embody us, and who we are as a people. And I'm not talking about what we were taught by people who are not here to serve us. I'm talking about our ancestors, our family, who started giving us values and started our moral compass. We have to remember that when we start getting up here. And so because of that, I try to always make sure that, not that I'm in the middle. I'm not above, I'm not below, but we can meet each other in the middle, right? And so I just want to say that is because that's the one thing that I see, even with myself. I'm only 2 years in now, and I see that with other business owners, African-American women business owners, is that we have to remove ourselves from being cliquish. Set your own goals. My dad always told me, I used to say, I want to be successful. He was like, but what is successful? He was like, what is successful? What does success look like to you? And when he said that, it's like, wow, what does success look like to me? And so that's what made me come up with some of the visions and the ideas and the missions that I have is that to stay grounded. That's the overall. What I would say is really get to know who you are first, because you cannot serve anyone else if you don't know who you are. And more so, your kids are watching. So if you're crashing and your mind isn't together and your kids are looking, they like, what are you doing? But you really have to know who you are, whose you are. Who do you belong to? Say it again. Tell it one more time. I like that one. Who you belong to. Yeah. You have to know who you belong to in the spirit. And then you have to know everyone was so upset at me that I took a break around Valentine's Day. I received so many emails and texts. They didn't understand that it wasn't me that wanted to sit down. God told me to sit down for a second. Ooh, that's good. And so I was off for a month. And in that month, so many things happened. I'm like, wow, God, you told me to take off for this month. So I took off for that month. And the things that happened in that month made me stronger for, I promise, this pandemic. For anything that's to come. And I'm not going to say I'm fully prepared, but me taking that break then prepared me for my break now. But how can we flourish? Wow. When things like this happen. So continue to support other small Black businesses. This is your vision. I'm here to support your vision, but I can't live this vision out. And so when he said that, that humbled me to my core. And I had to go to God and say, I'm mad at him because he just don't understand. And when I came up out of that prayer, I didn't understand. That's good. Wow, that's good. Right, so when I came out of, he's a little rough right now, but say hi, Taylor. That's all right. Hey, Taylor. So when I came up out of that prayer, I was wrong. I was really wrong. I was really wrong. So that's that was my last gem. Make sure that you don't force your significant other to live your vision, but only support your vision. Your vision. Wow. I called at a good time, and we so thankful that you came on. I'm so blessed to have you as being our friend, also just being a colleague with you. And we're so grateful for you. I know my wife just saying much love. We do. We're so grateful for that. We love it. We really, really love it. And on the podcast, that's when I'll really break down the name Taylor. We don't want to give too much right now, and I really want to talk to Mrs. Boyd. So I'm going to save my best conversation for Mrs. Boyd. Sorry, Coach Boyd. Sorry. Sorry. I'm going to save my best conversation.
That question to yourself. The reason why we preserve everything else for the future ain't nothing to do with what actually breaks your heart. So you actually wind up doing a job that you don't love and you don't care about because you're preserving yourself, because you know what?